So it's interesting in writing of the movie Hathor because you have no idea how important those cities were back then around Dendra, all the way up to Cairo. And they were very, very important in that time period for a reason. And that is that we did not have warring. We did not have war. What we did is we had an interconnected community of light. And it isn't light in terms of New Age. It is really in terms of wiring of light fixtures that gave electrical light to the cities. They had electrical light. And I found proof of the technology in the ancient tablets. If you study them of Dendra, you'll know what I mean in the temple of Hathor. So, what would happen, for example, is let's say one family had an argument, Mott and her husband, Tahuti, had a fight with a horse, and Hathor did not want to show up for dinner. For some reason, they had some emergency and they'd made all these preparations and were just sitting. God, God, how could they do this to us? And they're like, oh God, I hope they're not angry. So they invited them out, took them to be the beasts of burden in the initiation, where they, to their surprise, taught them how to wire these lights because it was an initiation chamber. She would wear this cow's mask and ears. We bring people in and say, this is arduous labor of this beast when we become angered or when we become complacent or lazy or anything, and it gets dragged in here. And then we do these fabulous initiations and find the light, literally, again, sparkling in our lives. And it was electrical light, of course. Now, the higher light in the Egyptian times, in the temple of Horus, it's quite interesting because there they taught also about something he did, which was he remote viewed so far away with his camera eye that his heart went still a few times when he flew to the stars. And then he would come back, revive his body, resurrect himself, and teach about this. And it's kind of was because a long time ago, when we were very, very tall, we came from the original origins of the cosmos. And so people strived back then so hard to remember their origins that he was a cosmic, you know, bilocation astronaut of sorts, and then came and trained with Ptah on spaceship engineering. And the way you know that is he has a very special headdress that is a container that has wine in it with a curve, with a spiral. What that means is a vessel that holds the wine and transports it through like a, well, it's genetics. We have Fibonacci sequence that is the spiral, but also there is a mechanism in spaceships inside that looks like that. So they had these beautiful, beautiful, huge spaceships that were like these winged birds that they had back then, much larger than the Andromedan craft because it had all these huge people on them. And so that was his initiation into spacecraft flight. And Ptah wore a blue helmet and was a pilot. And what they would do is they would fly gold. So in the different initiation chambers, when the glorious, grand, big light would go on in people, which is the firing of the spine, nervous system, and the brain of the great golden pharaohs, the golden humanity, way, way back then, that glowed golden into hyperspace, could fold space time, you see, and manifest things. And so that is why when people became the beast of burden and lower vibration, they would take them sometimes to these initiation chambers to battle that beast within, to do a beastly labor, higher work of something like wiring technology. So then Tahuti and Mott had a light wired in their city too. And that is why all of the great cities there had the Mask of Hathor, as I said, on the pillars, who had been initiated into light. And we had cities of glowing light all through that area. So instead of warring, what we did was owned our inner beasts and demons and had these great initiations to unite people in joyousness of technology of the supreme pharaohs in that time that we were, spreading the information all through those places. And Cairo was the epicenter of where we had the mines underneath the Sphinx that had a hilarious, hilarious chamber of the dead of Anubis of burying the dead, which was almost like a little threat. If you come in here and snoop around too much and you're a foreigner, you might end up as one of the people we embalm and put away to rest. So it was almost like a decoy room. And then underneath, there were tunnels that went to the mines, and the mines wheeled all the way under to through the underground tunnels. Sorry, would wheel the gold to the pyramids of Giza, where they were stored, and they were moved for transport. And the ships would land there also to transport gold. So some was transported by land, some was transported by spaceship. The great pharaoh's spaceships that were not of other ETs, but are our technology that we had long, long ago, where we had peace and all of the energies of our focus to developing technologies. And it was a very advanced civilization back then that we largely lost the mind for, you see. So the initiations were very, very, they weren't really religious rites, you see. There were things like wiring these lights that had these multiple tiered little stacked platforms, and then they'd be wired with copper coil, and they would turn on. So we had electricity. So there were all kinds of interesting things that happened in the Egyptian initiation chambers. It wasn't religion. So the historians misinterpreted them completely. And it's why the movie Hathor is of very, very high importance to get the stories about those families correct and to understand really what the high cultures were all about. So I'm having great fun writing it from memory, and you guys will just be astounded at what comes for. All right, take care.